Hello. All right, I'm doing a gift list. I wasn't going to because really for my business, my gift list should just be buy the books and the pages and then make books for your family and give those out, especially the new cookbooks. But the reality is outside of my pages and books, which of course, best gifts you can give, there's a lot of stuff that I use all the time that I didn't make. And this is the time of year when it's all on sale. So if there's anything that you need, or if you're trying to think of things to get the family historians in your life, or if you've got people who are saying, what do you want for the holidays? And you don't know, maybe there's something on this list that you would like. And this is the right time of year to get it, because when everything's on sale, sometimes it's kind of irresistible to treat yourself to a little piece of newer technology or just something that's going to make your family history research a little bit easier. So let me go through my list. So I feel like printers and scanners are the top things that I get asked about. So when I get my books printed, a lot of times these days I'm getting them printed through canva.com, or I'm sending the PDF to an office store like FedEx or Staples, and then they're printing them and spiral binding them for me. I don't have a spiral binding machine. I've thought about getting one, honestly, because I'm fine sending them out. But I do still have a good color printer for when I want to print at home and put things into my binders, or if I'm printing at home to make myself like a research notebook. I used to have a really expensive printer, and then I switched over to, it's still an HP, but it's the HP Smart Tank 7602. And it's an all-in-one printer, and I get a certain number of pages because I do their subscriptions, a certain number of pages a month. It's great. I wish that I had gone to this printer a long time ago. I stuck with this professional office grade printer for a long time because I thought it was better. The printing quality on this is just as good. And I actually think it's a little bit faster, and the upkeep doesn't seem to be as much. Like the other one jammed a lot. So the Smart Tank 7602, that's the one that I use, and it's just been fine. And then I talked about this for years. I know a lot of you have this. I'm obsessed with my scanner. I have a couple of different scanners, but there's one that I use all the time, and that's the CanaScan from Canon, the LIDE. I have the 400. And it's this scanner that it's really portable, it's really light, and you just plug it into your computer, and then it draws power through the USB. I do have to have an adapter because I use a MacBook that has this, it doesn't have the regular rectangular USB. So I have to use an adapter, which was, I think, like $20. And that's how I plug the scanner into my computer. But that scanner, the Canon CanaScan LIDE scanners are workhorses. They're portable workhorses. I can take them anywhere. They fit into my backpack really easily. They don't weigh anything. I love them. The other scanner that I have, it's on here somewhere. It's the one that I use for slides. I'm looking at my list. It's an Epson, and I can find it. And it has, on the top part that comes down, there's a light panel that shines light through the slides so that they can scan them. So, because if you just put slides on a regular scanner, they're going to look dark because the light's only coming from one direction. You need it to shine light through while it's scanning. But honestly, other than slides, I scan everything with my Canon scanner. I really love it. I don't know if Canon makes a slide scanner. I also have a little Kodak scanner that does slides, or it does film negatives. And actually that one works pretty well. I just don't pull it out enough. I think I splurged on that when I was doing a family research trip where I went to somebody's house, and then I was scanning a whole bunch of stuff, and it was smaller and more portable than the big Epson slide scanner that I had. So that's actually a pretty good one. But again, I'm not scanning slides and negatives that often. So if you had a ton of slides or negatives, you would want to look for something like that. But personally, I don't do that much anymore. If you only have a few things like that to scan, instead of investing in the technology, you could always have it sent out. But I like to keep control of my stuff, and so I like to digitize it myself. Speaking of which, I also have not had home movies to do in a while, but I have done all of my 8mm and Super 8 home movies using this thing called the Wolverine. Do I have that on here? The Wolverine digital scanner. These are the sort of things that I should look up before I actually try to do a gift guide. There we go. the 8mm and Super 8 reels to Digital Movie Maker Pro Film Digitizer. That is what it's called. It's from Wolverine, but it's the Wolverine 8mm and Super 8 reels to Digital Movie Maker Pro Film Digitizer, which is very fancy. It was a little bit of an investment, but it meant that I could do all of my 8mm film on my own, and I still have it. And now, because I have it, I've done a couple times. I've had friends who've had just a reel or two, and I've done that for them. And I'm always hoping that I will have other family members who will come forward with their reels. If you've got a VHS tape, you can do those at home too, but it's a different technology. It's this thing called Elgato Video Capture, and you take a VCR, so you have to have a VCR, and you use this little Elgato thing to connect your VCR to your computer, and then you digitize your VHS movies that way. I would love to give you a link for my favorite VCR. They don't make them anymore, you guys. And I am a little paranoid. My husband thinks it's funny. Now when I find VCRs at thrift stores, I buy them because they're hard to find. And all these people are going to have these home movies on VCR cassettes, I guess is what they're called. And we're not going to be able to see them. Now, my husband's pointed out that at some point somebody's going to realize that everybody wants to watch their VHS tapes, and they're going to start making VCRs again, because it's not like they threw out the instruction manual for how to make a VCR. But in the meantime, if you see a VCR at a thrift store, or if you have a VCR in your home, do not send it to the thrift store. Get an Elgato Video Capture and then use that to digitize your VHS movies, and then just hang on to your VCR, because I don't know why they stopped making them. Freaked me out. What else can I recommend? So right now I'm filming on my iPhone, but when I'm doing home movies where I'm filming somebody else, or especially if I'm walking around a place and I'm trying to film a location, somebody's house, a museum display, something like that, I have this little thing called the DJI Pocket 2. I think that they're up to a DJI Pocket 3 now. I have a Pocket 2. And what it is this little camera. It's just like a little stick, so it's not that invasive, but it has a gimbal in it, which means that if you shake or move around, it steadies the camera automatically. I have a bit of a tremor because of a nerve thing that I have. And so when I'm trying to hold my hand steady for a while, inevitably there starts to be some shakiness, and this corrects that. So I find that it's easier to hold, and it's just really handy, and it takes great video, and it's not hard to use. There's an app that then you can use the app to send the footage from this little DJI Pocket 2 camera to your phone. So it's kind of like filming with your phone, just more steady. So again, a little bit of an investment, but I was taking enough video that way. Plus I've got kids. If you've got grandkids and you're trying to chase people around, it's very handy. It's great for traveling. I always talk to you guys about doing backups, that you should have cloud storage, but you should also have external hard drives that you can take with you and hold in your hand. I like the Seagate brand, and I always get at least 2 terabytes, because you don't want to have a whole bunch of little hard drives laying around if you don't have to. I feel like 2 terabytes, it holds a ton, and then they're affordable enough that you could have even maybe 2 hard drives and back something up to 2 different hard drives in case they fail. Again, I am so paranoid about backups, but in my opinion, I would rather have too many copies of something than no copies of something. What else? I'm skipping around a ton as I think about what it is that I use. You guys ask me about my keyboards. I have a keyboard collection. I like keyboards that have a clicky or thunky sound. So I have some plug-in keyboards that I use for gaming. I have some plug-in gaming keyboards that I use. I don't actually use them for gaming, but that's what they're made for. And so if you look for gaming keyboards, I have quite a few. I don't really have a favorite gaming keyboard, but as far as Bluetooth keyboards, these are the ones that you see me use sometimes, and they're just standing on their own, and they almost look like little typewriters. And I use them with my computer, but I also use them where I prop my iPad up in them, and then I type that way. I love to do that. There is a brand that I really like, and that's Yunzii. It's Yunzii. They have great Bluetooth keyboards that are really comfortable to use. They have a retro feel. That is definitely one of those things. It's like something that's a little pricey, so you wouldn't necessarily get it for yourself unless you were treating yourself. So I think I have 3 of them now, and they've always been gifts, but they're a really fun thing the person who has everything, but there's something about being able to just prop up my iPad as though it's a piece of paper and then sit there, especially when I've cleared everything away, and I can just journal that way. But also sometimes for research, I'll just sit and I'll think, I'm going to write out everything I know about this person. And it's like a good exercise, and something about the simplicity. I don't know. I would recommend it. I think those keyboards are a lot of fun. So this is funny. So I have 2 portable batteries. One is this little tiny portable charger that I use on the back of my phone. It's like a little magnet thing, and I take that with me all over. And that's really handy, again, if you're filming or recording or trying to take pictures of somebody's family photos that they don't want you to take with them, and they're not going to let you scan them, but you can stand there and take pictures with your phone. You don't want your phone to be dying. So I use that little portable battery all the time. But my absolute favorite portable battery is actually, it's bigger and it looks like a big Duracell battery. And these are the greatest things. I think, how many have we bought now? We have a few around our house. I bought them as gifts. They're fantastic because they're so fun because they look like giant batteries, but then they have places where you can plug in cords, and the top is one of those magnetic chargers for your phone, and you can tilt it up so you can use it as a phone stand. These things are just great, and I love them. I will say I fly with them occasionally, and I always get stopped. It's not a problem for you to have them when you're going through, you have them in your carry-on, but they're always going to stop you because they always want to know what it is, because you're flying with this thing that looks like it's this giant Duracell battery. Usually people just want to talk about it, but I love those. I use them all the time to charge my phone or to be a phone stand when I'm talking to people, especially if I'm FaceTiming or I'm talking to them on Marco Polo. But then I use it when I need to have a battery for my laptop out somewhere. They're just great. So I just laugh because it's kind of a silly thing. Why would we need to carry in these giant Duracell batteries? But they're so handy and they're just fun to use. Basic, cheaper research supplies / stocking stuffers. Absolute favorite pens are called Le Pen, L-E-P-E-N. I don't know what it is about them. They're so nice to use. And I am a pen snob. I, for a long time, only used Sharpies. Then I was using all these pens from Japan. And then it was only these artist pens. Le Pens have been my pen now for a decade at least. I am committed. They're fantastic. I can show you what they look like. They come in all sorts of colors. I buy the black ones in bulk. See? Le Pen. I just love them. So, I don't know. Some people are really content to just use any freebie pen that they have in the junk drawer. I have a deep and intimate relationship with my pens. They need to get me. I need to get them. Le Pens are the best. Let's see. I use notebooks all the time, although it's really just a fun personal preference. And I use Post-its for everything. I think I've shown you that when I'm researching, I use Post-its all the time, and I put Post-its in my books. So I go through Post-its. I like to have Post-its of lots of different sizes and colors. So I think Post-its are always a great stocking stuffer, but also my husband has gifted me before just a big box of various Post-its. And that's love. That's when you know that you married the right person. Copy paper. This is one of those, who has a gift guide for the holidays where they talk about copy paper? But if you're printing at home, you're doing this family history stuff, and you've gotten the good printer and you've got the ink subscription, you want to make sure you're printing on good paper. Paper is actually really important because it can make or break your book. And I've been using the same paper forever. So I use Hammermill, bright white, and I use it in 28 pound. I used to use 32 pound paper, but it made the books and the things that I was printing out, it was just like a little too thick. So if you are printing out things that are going to be thinner and you really want that crisp printed page where you absolutely can't see anything coming through from the other side, then 32 pound is the way to go. But I found that 28 pound is actually just fine. The premium color, bright white 28 pound paper from Hammermill is the best. And that might be silly to put in a gift guide, but we use a lot of paper. Make sure that you have good paper. If you've got bad paper, I just can't imagine spending all the money and time on all of the rest of it and then taking everything that you worked on and putting it on bad paper. It's heartbreaking. I have in the past recommended the Levenger disc bound hole punch and then the disc bound covers from TUL. It's not that I don't recommend those anymore. It's that I don't use them anymore. So I still have my Levenger hole punch. That thing's a workhorse. I can't, it's punched thousands and thousands of pages and it's just fine. So if you are going to get a disc bound system, go with the Levenger. For those of you who aren't familiar, disc bound is just a way of binding your books, and you use these little, most of the time I use plastic, but you can use metal, these little discs that make it look like it's spiral bound. But the benefit is that you push the discs into the hole so you can add in pages and take out pages, and they're really handy. And when I first was printing all of my books at home, all of my books were disc bound. The problem is, as your books get thicker, they're not super stable. And I've realized that over time, now that I have some books that are disc bound that are 10 years old, if you keep flipping through them, the little holes where the discs go, they do get bigger. And so they do start to wear out. And I just feel like I find myself having to be more gentle with the disc bound books. And when I pass them around, people have a harder time flipping through them than the spiral bound ones. It also, because I was just adding pages, a lot of them got to be really thick. And so that was a problem. But if you wanted to try the disc bound, go ahead and splurge on the really good hole punch, because that's the one that's going to make all the difference. The Levenger hole punch is the best. And then it's up to you if you want to get the really nice covers or if you want to get the cheaper covers. I think I've got some. Again, I still have it. I guess I use it for other stuff, especially like short-term projects, or if my kids need to just have something together in a book. I will disc bind our little travel binders for when we take trips. And then I'll have all of our hotel information and maps and stuff like that in there, because that's more of a short-term thing. These long-time archival family tree books, I feel like disc binding just might not be the perfect solution, but certainly a flexible solution. I do have to plug my books. I have books on Amazon. And if you are not familiar with them, then go check them out, because they make lovely gifts, but also they're just fun to look through. But as far as books, there's a lot of great books out there. I've got all these books. I'll share the book list of books that I recommend along with the rest of the stuff that I recommend. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I read in the last year that was an absolute hands down go-to. Check this out, genealogy book. I read this great book that was actually about the history of genealogy, so I can share that. But I did a lot of specialized research this year, because this was the year where I taught my inclusive genealogy class about more, I was going to say more exotic family trees. That's not the word at all. Family trees that are just in different shapes maybe than you would expect, I guess. Diverse is a better way of saying it. They're certainly not exotic. I think it's funny that that's the first word that came to mind. Anyway, so I read a lot of specialized books this year. But I will say I do read a ton of family history books on Kindle, because it's a lot of local history books, and sometimes you can find them available for free as PDFs, and I can send them to my Kindle. I do have Kindle Unlimited, and there have been a lot of books that I've been surprised have been available through Kindle Unlimited. So I read on my Kindle all the time, but I also just read on my Kindle all the time. That's not specifically a family history thing, but I guess that's another thing. If you've never splurged on a Kindle, I have an iPad as well. I love to read on my iPad, but the Kindle is more comfortable to hold, and I do think it's easier on my eyes, especially when I'm going to sleep. So even though I will download things to my Kindle and read them, especially if they're full color and they're really pretty things like back issues of Family Tree magazine and stuff I read on my iPad, the Kindle is, I think, better for really digging into a local history book and just going through. I don't have the Kindle that you can take notes on, though. So maybe that's something that I should put on my own gift list. I just have the classic Kindle. Anyway, that's a roundup of the stuff that I use. Other than that, this is my bag. I will share it, but it's just a really basic black backpack that has spaces for my iPad and my laptop, and everything just comes with me, because so much of my family history is still just digitized digital genealogy. And I used to have cute little totes that made me look fancier and were more like for women, but this Swiss gear backpack has been put through the ringer. I've flown it all over, and it's kind of fantastic. And this is another, so this back area, you can see my iPad's in there right now, and then my laptop goes in here. The scanner that I recommended, that CanaScan, is thin enough that I can just slide it in between and zip it up, and it fits just fine. So that's another thing I'd recommend, I guess. But other than that, If you have a genealogist in your life, and I've gone through this whole list and you just didn't see anything that grabbed you and you can't think of anything to get them, don't forget that things like subscriptions to Ancestry, subscriptions to Fold3, MyHeritage, even a subscription to Family Tree magazine, they are pricey enough that a lot of the family historians I know don't always have them. They may take a year off here and there. And so that could be something. Also, I never turn down a DNA kit. I've had my DNA done by multiple sites. And so now if somebody was to give me a DNA kit, I wouldn't use it for myself, but there's always people in my life that I want to have their DNA tested. And so honestly, especially if it was somebody that I wanted to get their DNA done, if their gift to me was them buying a DNA kit and actually taking the DNA test, I would think that'd be a fantastic gift. So one more thought. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if there's something that you think that I missed, and I'll put the link to how you can find all this stuff down below. Happy shopping.